Welcome to the Wealthy Artist Podcast. And I'm your host, Sarah Clanton.
And I'm Wilson Harwood, and we're talking about how to develop your wealth,
enjoy financial freedom,
enjoy artistic freedom,
and live the life you've always imagined. Welcome!
Hello, everybody!
Hello, and welcome to the Wealthy Artist Podcast.
Da 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 da. Bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-dum bum. Oh yeah! Today we have some special things happening.
Special things.
Sarah's
We're talking about
allergies are out of control.
What'd you say? My allergies? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
It's okay. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my delightful microfiber purple to match my outfit washcloth. It's delightful on your nose, gentle, so you don't have to use that pesky toilet paper. This is not a paid advertisement.
Should be. I want to know where I can get that purple microfiber from my nose.
On the internet. I know, right?
Nice.
They come in like a 12-pack. It's pretty great.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're for taking off makeup. Anyway.
Oh, well, that's good. I have like little makeup towels that I bought when I was doing the Airbnb. And now they're just like general hand towels for everything. But
exactly.
They're useful.
Exactly. Anyway.
All right.
We're not here to talk about that today.
Yeah, but we have to have some banter. But today we're going to talk about how to release your singles. And I
it
got
could also apply for an album.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I just made this checklist because I got super inspired the other day. And I was like, I just want to make a single release checklist.
What inspired you, Wilson?
Oh, well, I've been thinking about it for a while, how I want to update my lead magnet on my website, which is the little thing that when you go to the website and you put in your email, I give you some awesome thing. And the new awesome thing is this single release checklist.
And it is an awesome thing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. And I like went into Canva and like made it look all cool. And so it's beautiful and useful. And yeah, and I've been trying to create a system for myself on how to release songs for a long time now. And so I finally have this little checklist that, you know, at least gives you a guide, and you can change it if you want, but there's so many steps. In the end, this checklist was 30 steps.
Oh, wow.
Just to release some music. So it's a lot. And
so,
you might
I'm
even
already
have things to
gathering
add.
that this is, pre-production. This happens all before you release it or release the album. And, right now there are so many ways. I think it's really important to remember that, we're part of this conversation here on the Wealthy Artist Podcast about, breaking those stories that don't serve us anymore. And the music business is evolving and it's changing. And I think this checklist is so cool because this is one way that you can do it. And I feel like it's this great outline that you can apply like your own flair to, your own spark, your own sauce, your own thing too. Because right now, especially in the pandemic, there's so many different ways to, we can't do so many things that we used to, or we're getting back to it, yada, yada. But we have like the ability to like come up with whatever we want to do. And I think this is what you have like come up with here is like still so doable right now. Like you can do all these things. So.
Totally. And a lot of this stuff is all online. Like the whole touring side of it is actually after you release your songs. And when we're talking about singles, like my whole thing is that I'm trying to experiment with the Spotify algorithm and sort of like how all this natural alligator rhythm growth can happen within Spotify to help grow your fan base.
On that.
I know, totally. So this is the way I borrowed heavily, but also respectively from R.A. Herstand's single release or whatever album single release checklist. But what I did differently is I added a couple things that I thought were important. And then I also broke it into a timeline, which he didn't do. So I basically created this checklist so that you could technically release a new song every 6 weeks and have like a system where you like rinse and repeat. All right, release a song, take a week off, do it again. Take a week off, do it, or don't take a week off, just kind of keep on rolling. So that's the way it's broken out. And we probably should jump into this because it's got a lot of steps.
Lead us through it.
Let's jump in. And if you're on YouTube, you can actually see the checklist.
Yeah.
And if you guys are really eager beavers and want to actually download the checklist, you can go to www.elevatedmusic.co and input your email, and it'll get delivered directly to your inbox. And so you can download it for yourself.
Yes, and you should do that. And here it is.
Dun, 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 dun. So the first thing is to create your folder of assets. And I actually got this idea from Indepreneur, which is another company I really like on music marketing. And so we have this really cool folder where you name your single. And then underneath that, you have your audio folder, your images folder, your text folder, and your video folder. And then within those folders, you can create things like your wave and masters files. You could create your 320 kilobyte MP3 masters, any sort of audio you have. Maybe you did like voice memos, you could put them in there. For images, you can do everything from web graphics to professional photos to candid photos. And then in your text folder, you can put everything like your bios, your lyrics, and even like poetry or something, whatever you have that is going to be useful for the release of the song. Make as many folders as you need. And the main point with this is just to get organized.
And make sure that you name all the files. Make sure that you name, like, even if, so make, say for social media, you're making different banners for Facebook or YouTube or Patreon, and make sure that you write in that file name what that banner, what that image is for, so you don't have to like reinvent the wheel every time. Oh, what was this? Where did I put it? Make sure that you are labeling your files. And keep in mind that that's also important for your metadata when you upload all of this stuff. The names of your files do help it get out there and be seen by the algorithms out there.
Alligator
rhythms.
rhythms.
So metadata
We're just
is
gonna
super
say
important.
alligator rhythms.
And having this all organized is, it's really important. It helps the uploading process.
Yeah, because you're going to be going back to this constantly. So you definitely want to have this folder just like in a place where you know where it is and you can find everything quickly and keep adding to it over time.
This will also help for like rehearsals with your band when you're getting back on the road. Mm-hmm. You know where your lyrics are, for example. You could also keep your charts there.
Yeah,
like that.
That would be a great idea. So this is all 6 weeks out. So the second thing you want to do is put everything in your folders that you just made. So mainly the thing is you want to get that 3000 by 3000 pixel artwork in your image folder. And I think the 3000 by 3000 is like pretty standard these days. You can go bigger. You just don't want to go smaller because things like CD Baby and DistroKid won't accept artwork that is smaller than 3000 by 3000 pixels.
And always just make sure that you check, because whenever you're listening to this, it could change. So make sure that when you go through the uploading process, that you just double check what those specs are on the website, just so that you know before you try and go and upload it.
Yeah. And then number 3 is to upload your single using a distributor like DistroKid or CD Baby. And you might have some other ones, Sarah, that you like. I've been using DistroKid. I have used CD Baby in the past. To be honest, I think they both have pros and cons. In the single release checklist, I actually have a link to Ari Herstand's blog post where he talks about like the pros and cons of every single major music distributor, which is worth checking out if you have an interest in it. But at the same time, I'm like, don't overthink it too much. It's like more important just to get your music out there. And then there's this awesome company that Sarah has used, and maybe you can talk more about this, called Sounddrop, for covers mainly.
Yes, I love it. So, and this is like, this part of the checklist is sort of where I spend a lot of time putting my brain power into, like number 3, number 4, number 5 here on this list. Mm-hmm. I love song registration. I love talking about it. I love learning where all the royalties exist and helping my clients claim those royalties. I have a workshop called the Total Song Registration Workshop that dives into each one of these things. Because it, like you said, you know, there are different things like CD Baby, DistroKid, there's TuneCore, and Sounddrop, which I love because they handle all the cover licensing stuff for you. If you are if you're a cover artist or you collaborate with a lot of people, this is a great platform for you to share your music and have all of that information really easily handled. And I love Sounddrop. Sounddrop and CD Baby actually come onto my workshop and talk all about the platforms, get some questions answered on that. And it's just really important to be aware of what you're jumping into with all that. Just look at the frequently asked questions, look at the website, make sure your audio and your graphics are prepared before you upload with all that, with the metadata. Mm-hmm. I talk about that as well in my workshop. But Sounddrop is great. They're a smaller company. They're designed to mostly handle cover song releases and makes it really, really easy on their back end. I like it.
I'm super excited because I have a bunch of cover songs that I want to release, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to use Sounddrop.
Yeah.
This would be super fun.
Yeah.
So number 4 is to register your song with your PRO, which stands for Performing Rights Organization.
So this is for original music. So this does not apply to music. Covers.
Yeah. But you can post cover songs on your PRO's live performance capture, I've realized, and actually it doesn't really help you out, but it will help the artist out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's kind of like a cool thing if you want to do that.
Absolutely.
I remember doing that back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, so in the US, the main ones are ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC, and in Canada, there's SOCAN, and the UK, it's PRS, and in other countries, you want to just look up and see who your PRO is and get registered with them.
Thanks for the shout out on the checklist.
Yeah.
I'll give you a link for that too.
Yeah. Definitely check out Sarah's registration course. It's freaking awesome.
Woo.
And so I've used ASCAP. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I also am of the mindset of like, for right now, it's like better just to do it than to like obsess over everything. BMI seems to be great. You're with CSAC, right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you have anything to say about which one is best, or?
I think it really, so there are 3 major music cities in the country, in the US, right? In the US, New York, Nashville, and LA. And you can go to the offices in any of those cities and, meet with these people. And I think in the music business, in my experience, it has been all about relationships. And I've just been super curious about the music business my whole life. And I want to understand how it works so I can participate in it and also just like be myself. How do you navigate all this? And I was with ASCAP, but I met some artists who were with CSAC and got a referral in 2014, I think, when I moved here. And it just turned out that the people who were working there at the time I really clicked with, and they started to refer me to other co-writers. And so because I live in Nashville, I am in I've benefited proximity in non-pandemic times where I could go and like take advantage of, there's writing rooms at each of these places, so you can go and meet up with other writers. And so really, if you build a relationship with someone at one of these 3 companies, that's awesome. If you're not one of those cities, that's like not a huge deal either. There's still a ton of stuff that all of these companies offer. You can look at them online. BMI and ASCAP you can sign up for, and you can still benefit from them if you don't have like a personal relationship. But they're all going to do about the same thing. I would say that like if you have a relationship with the company and take advantage of what they have to offer, say you're a BMI artist and you go to Key West Songwriter Festival that's put on by them every year, there's just different perks. Just kind of like with choosing a digital distributor. They're just different things that, depending on what you do and who you are and what your intentions are, just might be a better fit. So just do the research, just check out the website, and then, don't belabor too much. Pick one.
Yeah. So number 5 is to register your song with Sound Exchange, if in the US, to get paid for Pandora and SiriusXM and all other digital radio stations.
So this is all for Sound Exchange collects non-interactive royalties. So that means anywhere that you can't pull up the exact song. So if you want to go listen to one of my songs on Spotify, that's an interactive streaming royalty. And that's collected somewhere else. But non-interactive streaming royalties are collected by Sound Exchange. So on Pandora, for example, or XM Radio, you can't go to like Sarah Clanton, Breathe In, Breathe Out, a specific song. You can just go to like Sarah Clanton Radio or for example, and it might play me first, it might not.
Oh yeah, it's gonna play you first. And in other countries, you want to figure out who your neighboring rights organization is. And I didn't know that term until I made this checklist. So just throw that into Google and figure out who it is. Sound Exchange, the last time I used them, was a little bit archaic, but I'm sure they're more up to date now with how you submit.
That's actually,
no, they're not.
This is something I talk about in my workshop, and this is something I talk about all the time with my clients, because I think the more people that interact with Sound Exchange and the more, or like any parts of this stuff, some of it feels a little archaic. This is all like non-linear. It's crazy. But the more that we understand it, the more we can participate in it and can ask questions. We can be like, hey, Sound Exchange, it'd be really cool if we could have like a spreadsheet that you don't have to download, fill out, upload. Like, can we just have like this on the webpage?
Form.
Anyway, so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So number 6 is to get new press photos and put those in your assets folder. Candid photos from the studio or just from daily life are great too. And I'm actually thinking about this as a single release checklist. You might, like, I'm planning on releasing an EP here, and I did like a photo shoot with a friend, and I'm like, those will probably be photos for multiple singles, but it's good to have them still organized and put.
Are you going to release each song as a single for the whole EP, or
I think my plan is to do 3 songs as singles and then 2 as a bonus when the actual EP comes out.
Cool.
As a whole. Yeah, that's the plan right now. And I'm going to use this checklist.
That's awesome. You've like set yourself up for success.
Yeah. And then I'm going to write number 7 is to write a new bio and press release. So you want to create a long and short bio which the short bio is under 500 words. And then having like a quick elevator pitch written down can be useful as well, just so you kind of have that in the back of your mind, even though you're probably not going to use the elevator pitch to press or anything. It's more just when talking on radio interviews, or, maybe it's useful when talking to fans or other people in the music community. So anything to say on number 7?
No.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah. And then we're still at 6 weeks out, so there's a lot to do in that sixth week before you release. So after you have distributed your song on your distributor of DistroKid or CD Baby or something like that, check Spotify for artists 3 to 4 days later and see if you can submit your song for Spotify playlist editors. And this is a new thing within the last year or two, and it's awesome because now you can actually submit your singles that you release directly to the coveted Spotify curated playlists.
Cool. I did not know this. This is very exciting.
Yeah. Isn't this cool?
So you would basically need to create a Spotify for Artists account, right? The app, download the app, get that. Mm-hmm. And then once you've uploaded it, and so this is before it's released, so it's like scheduled for release, right? You can submit it. Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Yeah. So when it gets released, it might actually land in one of those big,
okay, great. That's really
release
awesome.
Friday playlists, or maybe some like Finally Folk or whatever. And it's kind of a crap shoot.
Right, but I think it's like fucking about
it.
Time that is an option. Like,
exactly.
We could probably go on tangents about the
And it's important to notice that if you release an album, this is sort of the reason singles are king right now, is that if you release an album, you can only choose one song off that album to be submitted. So if you think you have like 5 songs on your record that are really good, you should release them as 5 singles up front, then release the album, so that each one has a chance at getting in a Spotify playlist.
Interesting. Cool.
So now we're at number. Yeah, these are all fascinating stuff. Number 9 is to update your Spotify profile, and this is huge. I can't tell you how many artists I find when I'm trying to do outreach for the studio, and I go to their Spotify, and it's just sort of like this no man's land. And granted, Spotify is kind of like not known as the best way to pull fans into your network. But if you put a link to your website and have a bio and some photos, you're way more likely to turn just a casual listener into a fan.
Right.
And so you want to update your links, bios, photos, add, and this is something I learned recently. I don't know anything about this, but add an 8-second canvas loop for your new song as well.
Oh, right.
Is new.
So like when you pull up a song, if you listen on Spotify, there's like a little clip of a music video looks like behind it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I don't know how to do that yet, but I probably would use Canva for the canvas loop. And you can set up contributions on your Spotify, which I've seen some artists do. Yep, I'm like, why not? Ask
you know what?
To give you
they
money.
Did that when they first did it. It was like the first so many artists that sign up, like Cash App would give you $100 back. If someone donated 100 or like $1, like if within, so I can't remember what it was, but yeah, like I got $100 kickback for signing up for that.
Sweet. So. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think that's really awesome too. That's another way that fans can contribute.
So now we're at 5 weeks out. So number 10 on the checklist is to add trackable links to your new single using Smart URL or feature.fm or show.co. I've used feature.fm, I think, and I've looked into show.co. They all look awesome. I've used Smart URL in the past. It's really pretty fantastic as well.
I've heard show.co is really great too. I actually have not used any of these.
I think show.co is the one I like the best out of user-friendly side of things, but DistroKid also has its own like aggregator where you can send people to pre-save. So that's also an option.
Yes.
But
and you can pick the pre-save on your digital distributor. So we just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to use these platforms or something to create a Spotify pre-save campaign here and update all your socials with something like a link tree or what Sarah has on her website, which I'm going to do on mine too, which is a custom link from your Instagram or something like that to your website actually that looks like a link tree. Because that way you're not using a third party and it's going to be cleaner. And then your fans are going to your website, which is great.
And just again, like you have more control over your content. Anywhere that, any way that you can just have more control over that. Because you can brand it more to look, and it's, you don't have to pay another service to do that too. You're already paying for it.
It's an easy solution. So number 11 is to make a list of press outlets using something like Google Sheets. So I'm a big DIY person these days. I'm not really that into paying for press, but you might want to do that. I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but if you're doing it yourself, this is where you're going to actually get that Google Sheet going, create your press release, and make sure to have all your music and everything on Dropbox or Google Drive or this company called Box, so you can share your music and press release easily with the press outlets. So you're kind of just getting ready. We're not actually reaching.
And you've already made all that stuff. It's in your asset folder.
Yeah, you're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now
there's so much to do here. I think this might be a two-parter.
I know. I'm realizing we're going to run out of time, but
it's all good. This is a lot to absorb.
It is a lot. Number 12 is make a video and add it to your assets folder. So the video doesn't have to be fancy. And in fact, in my experience, the more intimate and genuine it is, not like a fancy music video that's really expensive, it's going to do better. And honestly, it'll also double as a Facebook ad campaign, which comes down later on the list. So number 13 is to put your release on Bandcamp, which is something I saw Ari do. And I was actually moving away from Bandcamp, but then I'm like, you know what? Can't hurt, really. It's just another online distributor and people can pay what they want. You can even use it for your merch, although I think selling your merch on your website is probably smarter.
And they're doing right now once a month, basically since the pandemic hit, where they waive all their fees right now. So you can encourage your audience to go there and you get 100% of the sales on that day.
Yeah, which is awesome. I've seen that every week on my email, and I'm like, they're such a good company. So number 14 in the 5th week is to rebrand your website and all of your socials. So this includes putting up new banners, bio photos, and album art. And I was thinking about this. I'm like, this is so much work that you might want to make a separate checklist just for number 14. Just to keep track of like all your social media.
I have a list actually of all the things I need to do for that, what all the dimensions are for those.
Yeah.
And, now I'm thinking I do use Canva more now. Like I might make templates for things, especially if you've got stuff branded, know. But yeah, awesome. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, Canva is a lifesaver, by the way. We need to.
I like it. I've grown to really like it. Lightroom and Canva have been really using a lot.
They're great. So number 15 is to send out an initial email to your mailing list announcing the release. And this is something where I'd love people's feedback on how many emails to send to your list. But in my marketing experience, we send way too few emails. And people actually are less likely to unsubscribe than we think. So I'm going to err on the side of too many emails.
Yeah, please let us know in the comments what your strategy is about email marketing.
So this is like your initial email, and we talked about with Bob Berg a few episodes back on the Go Giver, you want to give, not ask. So you're not saying like, hey, pre-save my song. Yeah, you're actually trying to be like, hey, what are some cool behind the scenes things that I can share with them, or anything to like entertain them, rather than be like, hey, just go like all my socials and follow me and all this, stuff like that. So you got to be really careful with that line of how much you're asking and how much you're giving. Give
more. Just give. Give. That doesn't mean violate your boundaries or not, claim your worth. But
right.
Yes.
But you're kind of like creating trust and a genuine relationship.
Yeah. Well, what was the example on the Go Giver? And I've heard this actually a bunch of times from Lindsay Kirkendall too, who was on one of our very first episodes, talking about how when you go and interact on social media, imagine how you would interact in real life, or if you're about to be on a first date, or when you first meet someone, you're not like, oh my God, hey, listen to me on Spotify. You're like, hey, my name is Sarah. There's totally. Think about how that development of that relationship works, and this giving idea is sort of lies in that pattern.
Totally. So number 16 is to create a press release for your single. A lot of times the press will literally copy your press release, so it just makes it super easy for them. And Ari has a great blog post, which I'm going to look at to revamp how to write it.
Where would you put your press release? How do you make that available?
I think I used to put it on my website, but now I'm thinking that with everything, like I have Dropbox, so I'm like, I'm just going to put everything on Dropbox and send them like a zip file.
Yeah.
And be like, here's all the info you would need for me.
I do that as like a private page on my website.
Yeah,
so
I think
you can make a password for that or not. Like I just that kind of like with my saying with the link in bio. Like it's not like visible when you go to sarahclan.com, but if you put in sarahclan.com/link in bio, you can get to it, and that's what you see on Instagram.
Yeah, I might do that too. I'm not really sure yet what I want to do.
Yeah, there's so many things.
There's so many options, and I'm so out of the press game. I used to do my own press releases in press back in the day, but it's been a couple years. So we are probably going to have to wrap up this a little bit sooner, but we can make it a two-parter.
Yeah, let's hang out right here. So you have lots to do before we get to 4 weeks out. Again, you can go, Wilson, tell them how they can get this free checklist. You can get the whole thing and prep and listen in next week as we go through this or next time, whenever this next second part is.
We'll put
you can follow along
back.
with us.
Yeah, so if you guys want to download this checklist, just go to www.elevatedmusic.co. That's www.elevatedmusic.co. And right when you get to the website, you'll see a little thing that says, download your free single release checklist. And you can just pop your email in there. And you'll get it downloaded immediately. And yeah, that's the way to do it. So next week, we'll talk about what to do 4 weeks out, 3 weeks, 2 weeks out. Actually, the third week, you get a break. And then 1 week out. And then what to do on your release day and the release week. And you'll be ready to make some awesome fans and grow your fan base and make some money, hopefully. So that's the goal with this thing.
We'll put the link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell so that you can see every time we release a video. Thank you for subscribing wherever you're listening. It really does help us out and writing a review. Thanks for being here every week. This is episode, I don't know, we're in our 30s now of our
31.
episodes. And it's really, really amazing. So thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.